Hello everyone, and welcome to the Distinct Mastering YouTube channel. My name is Freddie. Today we're going to be talking about a unique topic, and I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas and examples of how you can beat so-called writer's block. So if you struggle with what they call writer's block, this video is for you. I will be using Ableton Live, but you can use any DAW that you prefer. Let's get right into it. Okay, I have an Ableton session loaded up that I created for this video. I'm going to show you a bunch of different ways that you can beat writer's block, get into the creative habit. I made a video last week that kind of inspired this one as well. It was all about the difference between professionals and amateurs. And the gist of it was I saw this YouTube video. It was really cool. It was basically exactly that. And they talked about how the professional gets to work. You may not have creativity, you may not be inspired, but you sit down and that stuff comes. So today I'm going to give you a bunch of tips that you can use to create that inspiration. Starting off with this first group you see here in green, I have this arpeggiator group, and right below it I have this track called Arp Trigger. And what we're going to be doing with this is we're going to be triggering this track below. This track just has the generic Ableton arpeggiator. And then right below that, I have the Wavetable synth by Ableton. And what we're going to do is we are going to route the output of this to the input of this. And I do that by selecting this little drop down right here and selecting this trigger track. I'm going to make sure record enable is on. And I also have these basic chords, so we have kind of a pattern going on. And what you can see is if I hit play, you're going to get a signal coming into this track. And what it's doing is it's rotating between these notes. Now, you could fold this if you just wanted to see what it is. You could make sure that you're in a scale. As you can see, I'm in the scale of C. And I just have all of these notes being played. If I go to C minor, you can see that some of the notes are not in scale. If I go to C major, I am in C major. So for those of you that struggle with, music theory, you can use these tactics to help you with this method. Now, what you can do is make sure your loop is on and select this area and just hit record. And it'll just keep loop recording into take lanes. I have a video on using Ableton to record take lanes. I'll leave you a link to that down below so you can check it out. And so what you're trying to do is you're really trying to experiment and just play around and just record everything. So let's hit record. And you see the MIDI notes are coming in now. I'm gonna take this down so it's out of our way. Get this out of here. And what I can do is go to this ARP and start playing with the rate. I can add steps. Play with the gate. Play with some of the styles. And you can play around with all the parameters really. And what you see now is I just have a bunch of random notes. So if I right click here and I click show take lanes, there's all my takes, and I can listen to each take and look for unique little clips that I can loop and steal little melody lines out of. See, this one's not bad. I could take that Command E to slice, make it a different color. And then if I want to listen to this take, let's go to the beginning. That's cool. Loop that. I mean, it's a little fast, but it could be a nice little percussion. You can change the sound too. You're not fixed to this sound. You can also adjust the tone of the sound. So You know, imagine putting a big delay on that and you have like this splashy ARP effect. It's really unique what you can get by doing this. So now that you've got this idea down, what you can do is you can just extract a bunch of loops, have a sound design day, and just make a bunch of motifs, and you have a bunch of stuff to use for later. Obviously, these weren't the best little things, but the whole concept is how you get about doing it. And what you need to do is experiment with this stuff. Let's turn on a kick drum. Listen to that. And you can also, let's say I slice this. There it is. And I can then adjust these notes. And I could then extend that, maybe add some, play some notes myself just to get some inspiration. This is a good way to get going. So using an ARP is number one. Number two on the list is using little bass shots to create random bass lines. And what I've done here is, you see I have a bunch of MIDI set up, and I basically have it playing on one note, but I don't have it playing on the 4 on the floor where the house drum or the house kick drum would be. And so then what I have down here is I'm recording the MIDI. So I have the same thing going on where this is coming in from that. Same thing, let's loop record this. And what I want to do is now I can say, I can mute this one. Sorry, this one. And it's going to be randomizing the other notes. I can lower the amount of choices so it stays a little more confined. Oh, whoops, I have that loop on. That was a little cool thing right there, and I didn't record it. That's why it's so important to be recording everything. Let's start this one over. And you can also adjust the note lengths of some of these, play with some of the sounds, play with the tuning. There was a little piece I liked right there. So that's basically what you want to do. And I would suggest recording a whole bunch. Record yourself for 5-10 minutes. Just get a whole bunch of stuff. And once you find like a nice little piece, you can then just drop it up to that track, turn off this random, loop this up. And then from there, maybe I don't like this sound. Well, that's this one. Maybe I want to put that one there. And now I hear this one. And so it's not perfect, but and so you get the idea. From there, maybe I take this and go like that, and I have now a bit more of a different pattern. And you get the idea. Like I said, I'm not here to show you how to create the best loops, because really this is all experimentation and randomization, and that is the fun part about it. It's kind of just letting the computer generate a bunch of stuff for you. So let's just play this bass pattern with the kick drum. Yeah, this one sounds better. It's not the best bass line. Let's try to take these top ones out. Okay, now we're kind of getting somewhere. That's a cool start, you know? Just a very cool way of working. If you're stuck and you don't have any inspiration, try some of these methods. Okay, the next one that we're gonna show is using a sequencer to generate random patterns. Nothing really new or different from using the arpeggiator, just a different tool. So same thing, I've got a sequencer, and this is a Max for Live device that you can get for free. It's called the APC Mono Sequencer. I'll leave you a link to that in my description. Cool thing about this is you set it up the same way. I have the same wavetable synth here, and what we're going to do is turn on record, and we're going to make sure it's routed, and when I hit play, so it's just a basic sequencer right now, but I could adjust this, turn some of these off, and that's me making the sequence. No secret to using a sequencer, but if you haven't used one before, that's how you can play with it. You can play with different things like this. Now, you might be saying, well, that's not using computer-generated randomization, but if you notice, there's a random button here, so let's give that random button a shot. And you can pick your scale. As you remember, we started in C. Now, what did I say? Record everything. Let's go ahead and put this on loop record. You can change your scale here if you wanted to. And you get the idea. Now you can go through this and look for some cool little patterns. Turn this off. So you see this. And so you see we just generated a bunch of random motifs, and it's the same thing, just a different way. Okay, the next one I want to show you is using a random generator to generate patterns. And when I mean generator, I mean like a pattern generator. I'm going to show you this conga loop that I pulled, and I'm just going to solo this. Oh, let's solo this as well. Cool, but busy. Let's go ahead and mute this track and get it out of the way. And what I have here is I have a generator with another free Max for Live device called Acid. And what I did is I took that conga and I threw it down into an Ableton Simpler. I'm going to go ahead and slice it up by transient. And you can change the sensitivity if you want, but I'm going to leave it at 100% because it did perfect slices. I can go in and fine tune that, and we will. If I turn this on record and route it the same way, I'm going to get, I need to turn this on, I'm sorry, a different pattern with the same congas. And maybe a little bit of these points are a little off. You can go in and fine tune that. But if I don't like that pattern, I could just hit this little smiley face and generate a new one. If I do like that pattern, I can hit the clip button and it'll drop it in over here on this clip view. And this is a cool way of working. I'm not going to get into the specifics of working over here in session view, but I do have an old Ableton video on that. I'll leave you a link below down in the description, so you can check that out if you want to get caught up on that. But you could just keep generating new patterns, and for the ones that you like, save them with the clip button. I'm not a fan of that. And you can still adjust these and change them. Look at that. I like that a little bit. I would want to change it. But then I can just take that clip, drag it into my arrangement side, and work. That's cool. So we got 3 little clips out of that just from working on, let's take one of these, put it here, drag it out. I'm going to loop this up and I'm going to turn it on at that kick drum. A lot different from our original pattern. Pretty cool stuff, huh? Okay, this next method is nothing new, using samples. You can go to Splice, Loop Cloud, even TrackLib and get a bunch of cool samples, chop them up, filter them down. You know, in the old MPC days, I started out as a hip hop producer and I have an old hardware MPC, still have it to this day. You know, you would filter down and use resonance. Basically, you were using an EQ. So let's mimic that. Let's listen to this sample. I took a little Afrobeat sample. So how could I flip this? Well, one way, like I said, let's take an EQ. This would be something that a hip hop producer might do to change it up and go back and forth or layer them together. Another thing you can do is take little pieces of this. Maybe I just want to try to take a section. Maybe let's take this envelope and go to the clip. And you can right click and just draw in shapes. And now we kind of have a new little pattern out of that. Let's bring this up. So taking little slices out of the loop can change them and hide your samples. Here's another cool thing that we can do. Let's take that same generator, just because I'm just going to drop this in right above it, and I'm going to go ahead and pick generator. And it could be a sequencer, arpeggiator, generator, whatever you want. Let's delete all of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a new MIDI track and I'm going to take this sample and drop it right into this MIDI track. And I'm going to go ahead and slice it up. And I have this little short piece of the sample being sliced up. And I pick the generator, I'm going to hit record. I'm sorry. I put that on the wrong track. My fault. I'm going to put it right here and hit record. And then we're going to mute the sample. Try some new patterns. Let's take the transient sensitivity down and open up some of these samples. And I could take that clip and just use pieces of it, take out notes I don't want, and just go from there. It's just a way to get a bunch of inspiration. Last but not least, one of the oldest methods is to just improvise. If you always start your tracks out with, say, drums, or you always start with the kick, sometimes it's nice to try a different method. One of the things I've done before is just turn on my piano, and I do play piano a little bit. Not the best, but I can play. And I'll just hit record and record for, 5 minutes at a time and just find the best parts. I've created whole songs out of that. So you can see here that I have my MIDI selected to all ins. I've got a keyboard over here, and if I were to just hit record, I could loop record myself, or I don't even have to have loop on. I could just let the arrangement run, and I could just find the best parts. Ableton has a cool feature called Capture MIDI. If you're not sure what it does, it's right here. And if you didn't hit record, you can hit this button to capture your MIDI. I have a cool little Ableton short on that. I'll leave you a link to that down below as well, so you can check that out. So I hope this video helps you out. If you have any questions or comments, please shoot me a comment down below. I would love to hear from you. And please consider liking this video, subscribing to my channel for more music content, and that bell notification will keep you up to date. My name is Freddie from Distinct Mastering, and I will catch you on the next one. Peace.